Welcome, thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Dan Reus, I'm with the Pet Care Innovation Prize. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later, but I want to get us started right away. Thanks for joining us. There's obviously a lot of interest in pet-based startups here in the New York area, which is awesome. We've got some great companies here, some really talented people, and we can't wait for the discussion. To get us started, we want to thank WeWork SoHo for inviting us to use their space. It's a great space here, and actually one of our startups that's presenting is a member here, and so she's going to just briefly tell you what this place is about.
I don't think it's on. Sorry. Technical problems. Hi, guys. First of all, yes, thank you, WeWork, for letting us have this space. I am a member of WeWork. I'm actually a member of WeWork Dumbo, and WeWork Labs, which is a different section of WeWork. My two managers over there, Dimitri and Susan, wave your hands. WeWork Labs is basically a program within WeWork that offers startups a space to flourish and grow with other startups. It's a great community atmosphere, and if you are interested in it, please either come talk to me or you can see Susan and Dimitri over there. Dumbo Labs has a rooftop deck, I'm just saying. And their AC works most of the time. But you'll hear more about SpotOn and my great company later to come, but I'll hand it over to Dan.
Thanks, Aparna. Okay, so the format of this is we've got a bunch of startups here. We have, and they're going to introduce themselves in just a moment, but I first want to introduce the panelists that you're going to be hearing from. And the panelists are all people with expertise in the pet care industry, and they're really here to kind of give some feedback and everything. You should know that we wanted to make this be a quick, panel discussions can be death, they can be long and boring, and everybody's been challenged to be quick and to the point. So I'm going to start with Shahrina at the end.
Hi everyone, I am Shahrina Ankhi-Krol. I'm the owner of Ankhi-Krol Law. It's a law firm right across from Macy's on 34th. I work with small businesses and especially the pet industry. It's a niche practice that I have, and I work with startups and small businesses in the areas of business law, contract law, trademark law, and copyright law. So those are the four areas that I do practice. And my passion for working with the pet industry really stems from my own dog, who's actually on my card if you received it while talking to me. So I love the industry, and that's why I work with you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Shahrina. Bill Broun.
Hi, Bill Broun. I'm with Nestle Purina Pet Care Company. I head up mergers and acquisitions. I also, with a couple other partners in crime, help run our 9 Square Ventures corporate venturing unit. And then I have a team of folks who do a variety of really cool stuff, but primarily around how we engage more directly with consumers. So that's me.
And Chris Gonzalez.
My name's Chris. I think I know a lot of you guys. I'm New York City based and also a pet tech entrepreneur. So my company is Barkley Pets. We are a dog walking, app-based dog walking service. We'll be getting into boarding later this year as well. And for some context, I've gone through the Pet Care Innovation Prize. We participated last year. So that's some perspective I can help add. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Oh, we did. We were the
Grand prize winner.
Yes. But thank you.
And modest.
But I did not bring cards with me. My email is chris@barkleypets.com. So if anybody wants to send me any kind of questions about the program, I'd be happy to answer any. I enjoyed it.
Hi, my name is Courtney. I'm with the World Pet Association. I'm the head of sales and marketing, and our mission is to promote pet responsibility. We are also the producers of Super Zoo. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Super Zoo. We bring 20,000 manufacturers and retailers to Las Vegas once a year. We also have 3 other shows. We have an aquatic show in New Jersey this October. We have a America's Family Pet Expo in Orange County where we bring in 50,000 consumers to this event, and we also have a grooming event in Atlanta. So feel free to ask me any questions afterward.
Hi, I'm Jason Klein. I run On Grid Ventures, which is my early stage investing platform. I mostly invest in sort of first outside capital with various angel groups. I wear a number of hats, including I chair the Harvard Business School Alumni Angel Program here in New York. We've got about 350 active investor members in New York City and invest about $3 million a year, all in early stage companies. We're very interested in pet startups, particularly those with traction, you could find us at hbsangelsny.com, and we're always happy to look at applications for funding. And personally, I've got about 20 investments in mostly New York-based e-commerce companies, many of which are connected to geolocation. And I am a proud cat owner.
Awesome. I'm Dan Reus. I'm with the Pet Care Innovation Prize. Pet Care Innovation Prize, really quickly, is a great program where we offer dilution-free, no strings attached, cash and business support to early-stage pet care companies purely to help them get going, build some friendlies in the ecosystem. I encourage you to go to petcareinnovationprize.com to check it out. You can ask me afterwards. I'll give you a card. All of the FAQs and everything are there. Applications are open until September. We really want to see a lot of New York companies in the competition this year. But now, we've asked these guys to tell you a little bit about their background, but we're going to really talk about the startups that are in the room. So I've asked each of the startups, they're going to go in alphabetical order, and they're going to give you just a couple sentences about what they're doing and what they need right now, and we're going to base our conversation on that. All right, starting with Zell with Diggs.
Hey everybody, I'm Zell, CEO of Diggs.
Go down to that end if you would.
Sure. Hey everybody, I'm Zell, CEO of Diggs. Our vision is to create, to be the innovative pet supplies manufacturer for the industry. We launched the Revel Dog Crate this year, which has done really well. We had a really successful Kickstarter campaign, a video that went viral, got 10 million views, and we had a really successful Super Zoo exhibition as well. And so we're doing our e-com launch at the end of this year for our crate, which is supposed to be better looking, easier to use, easier to transport, and safer for your pet.
And what do you need right now?
We're looking for advice on fundraising and for launching direct-to-consumer business.
Great, thanks, Zell. All right. Jim.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jim Golevsky. My co-founder, Dr. Ryan Yamka, back there, and I started Guardian Pet Food Company. What we are is we make a complete and balanced freeze-dried bar that is 2 ounces and very nutrient-dense. 1 bar feeds a 25-pound dog for the entire day. So it is all natural, not with added vitamins and minerals or anything like that, but it is all natural if you take a look at our spot over there. We also have treats that are freeze-dried that you can take a look at as well. Those are available currently, and our food bar will be launched hopefully by the end of the month, beginning of September. What we are looking for right now is we've had 50 years combined experience in pet food. We're looking for someone that fills out that part, which is our marketing aspect. We've got some skill in it, but we're looking for someone truly who is a marketer, and we're also looking for the early stage investors as we're about to launch in retail.
Awesome. Guardian Pets.
Guardian Pet Food.
Guardian Pet Food, sorry. All right, Jody with How I Met Your...
Hi, everybody. I'm Jody Anderson. I am one of the co-founders of HowIMetMyDog.com. And How I Met My Dog is a better way to get a dog. We have created a proprietary algorithm that focuses on behavior and lifestyle to custom match adopters with rescue dogs. So think eHarmony, but with people and dogs. And we're looking for our seed fund raising right now to get us through the next 12 to 18 months. We have 43,000 registered adopters on the site right now and 206 shelter partners who are loading their dogs, and we'd like to continue to roll out nationally through the next 12 to 18 months.
Thanks, Jody. Awesome. Jim?
Hi, everyone. My name is Mark Thino. Our product is My Pet, My Scent. This is a product that uses hemp oil to calm the dog and the owner's scent to make the dog feel close to them. There was a study done at Emory University that proved that the dogs smell, what dogs like to smell the most is their owners. We have intellectual property on this product, both from patents pending and trademarks. What we are looking for is for funding to get our digital marketing going. We have a really great team in sales and marketing, manufacturing, and digital marketing, but we are looking for investors that might be interested in coming in on this project with us.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Jim.
I'm Jim Cantillini. I'm with PuppTech. We are a monitoring dog company where we monitor dogs at home, traveling, or in your office, wherever you might be with your dog. As some succeeding people will say, whether you're a dog traveling in a crate or you're traveling in a car, we're there to help make sure your dog is safe at all times. We're currently raising money in Indiegogo. We started yesterday. We've hit 80% of our goal. We expect to do a whole lot better in another 30 or 40 days, but we'll see. We are focused pretty much on the best interests of a dog and how it's safe in every environment, and we are very concentrated on all those things which impact that. We're currently laying out the first product, which is called the PuppCom, but we will be bringing out a series of products. So the whole system is set up modular in a modular fashion, so you can design the product that suits the needs of your dog's safety.
Jim, what do you need right now?
Well, we're in the middle of a campaign for Indiegogo, as I said, and we're about to start with this campaign. We'll start manufacturing. We've run alpha
So you're
products.
looking for these people to go to Indiegogo and sign up?
I would like you all to go on the computer. Get two. I think you'll find it an interesting product, and there's a real need for this type of thing. And I think that it really is the sort of thing that, in effect, it's a product for the dog, but the owner is the one who has peace of mind. I was telling someone before.
Jim, I'm gonna cut you off. Just I want to make sure that we
No.
have time for everybody. Make sure you talk to Jim and see what they're working on before you leave. Eric, you're up.
Hey everybody, I'm Eric Najjar from ShopKetti. We are a wholesale marketplace, so we make it super simple for retailers to log on, find the products that they know and love for their stores, place those orders, and then we disperse the orders between all the manufacturers. Basically took the systems that big box retailers are using and large scale manufacturers are using, married them together, and then gave them to the small businesses. Oh, and right now we're looking mostly for like mentorship and some advice on starting our seed round. We actually bootstrapped the entire company.
All right, thanks, Eric. Aparna.
Hi guys, Aparna again. I'm the founder and CEO of SpotOn. We are a ride-hailing service for pets and the people who love them. Very similar to Uber and Lyft, but all our drivers are vetted to be pet-friendly, and we are a guaranteed ride for you and your pet. And if you are a busy pet parent, we also have a service that can take your pet without you. We will be featuring PuppTech in our cars for the ones that are going to be accompanied without their pets, so you can absolutely track them real time and see how their health is. We are currently launching in about 2 weeks. We're partnered up with WeWork, Mets Bark in the Park, September 10th, Bark in the Park, go there, and BarkBox. We have over 50,000 people signed up here in New York City to use our service and about 5,000 drivers ready to go. So you will be seeing cars on the road very soon.
And what are you looking for?
Actually, I have 3 asks. One is similar to everybody else. We are in a funding round right now, looking for some great angel investors to come in on our round. Also, I would like to hear about scalability of how you can scale an actual business from one market to another. And the third, partnerships. Partnerships are key for us.
Great, thanks, Aparna.
Thank you.
Lowell Kaufman, and I want to just give a shout out. Lowell helped us organize all this and put all this stuff together. He's your local contact. Lowell's a great guy. Thank you. He also has his own startup.
Yes, a quick note, if you haven't signed up for the NYC Pet Tech Meetup, you should. We have more events coming, so that's my plug for that. So yeah, I'm CEO and founder of Well Informed Pet. Basically, it's a platform to foster trust between pet parents and all their caretakers, so everyone has the same view of the health and wellness of their pet in one place, and allows collaboration for everyone, so you continue to have that kind of understanding of the wellness of your pet. We're at a critical pivot point. We have a lot of early adopters and have good proof of concept of the product, but the challenge is really around pivoting to a more pure B2B play after thinking about being B2C. I realized partly through these events how many good business partner potential is out there, and I've been talking to a lot of them and televetting, veterinarian companies and things like that. So that's part of my challenge, along with additional.
So are you looking for advice? Or are you looking for
advice on challenges of pivoting to B2B when I've spent my investment on B2C, now I have a little less money and moving to B2B, and so it's that challenge of trying to get to that.
All right. Well, thank you. All right, thanks. Thanks, startups. Make sure if you have questions for these guys, see them afterwards. We're going to have some time afterwards for you to talk to them. But let's open this up to the panel right now, and let's just start with. I think one of the obvious things to me is that we heard a little bit about some stuff that's hard goods and consumables, food and things, but also a lot of tech stuff. And I'm just going to direct this to Courtney and Bill. And I've asked you just what do you think about the industry? How much of it is tech and these services and things, and how much of it is things that you would buy in a pet store? How is that changing? If you have any thoughts that you could kind of let people know where that's going.
Okay. I'd just say attending events like this all over the country, talking with entrepreneurs all over the country in the pet space, and to be clear, my focus is strictly dogs and cats. So I am pet focused, dogs and cats only, and so I talk to a lot of folks. And the growth of the intersection of tech and pet is massive. So there is a there is what I would say. I would say that you're also seeing from a service perspective, that's one of the fastest growing parts of the pet industry. And I'll let you speak to retail because you're a much greater expert than I am, but I will say we're even seeing the blurring of the lines between manufacturers such as us, retailers, and service providers. So, those lines I think are blurring, and you're starting to see combinations across businesses. I know one of the things we try and foster with these events is interconnection amongst you all. Because, I heard some great conversations going on, and even we heard some reference to, different companies here working together already or introducing themselves to each other saying, hey, I think my product would be a great addition to what you're doing. And that's part of what we're trying to foster here. So I'm really excited about that as well. So, sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree. And one of the things we do at Super Zoo, we just had it in June, was we do a lot of market research and surveys. And one of the things with retailers, specifically with some of these trends with tech or CBD oil, is a lot of the retailers are trying to figure it out themselves. So we forget, you guys are living it every single day. You're thinking this is the hottest trend, this is the biggest thing going, but they're still figuring it out, so they're a little hesitant. So my biggest recommendation would be do a lot of the work for them when you're talking to them. Give them context, so always know where you're coming into the conversation so you can kind of understand what they know and what they don't know, so you can fill in those holes for them. If you're going B2C, obviously the investment's going to all fall on marketing. So, but as a retailer, they need to be educated just as much as you guys, is the rest of the world. So definitely go in, talk to them, and find out what they're thinking.
So I'd like to direct this to Chris. Chris, you're one of our winners, grand prize winner. Can you talk a little bit about, just give us a couple minutes about what was, or not even a couple minutes, just a little bit about what was the journey to get from, hey, we had this idea, we're scaling it up, we're now looking for bigger partners. One of the people asked a question about, how do you scale into new markets? And which is, you're very geographic based in the service you deliver. So you can maybe just address that a little bit and kind of talk about very high level what the Barkley story has been.
Thanks again for having me. I think, when it comes to, as everybody was sort of talking about, the atmosphere and the environment, the landscape of legacy companies and sort of the pet industry today. I mean, if you look at the 5 biggest companies in the world right now, Apple, Google, Facebook, none of them were really relevant 20 years ago in terms of being the biggest company. And so industries change really rapidly. I think, us as humans always focus on humans first, and then I think we're now turning ourselves around to pets. And so you're starting to see all the activity. I think there's a lot of evidence of it right here in this room today. And I think, there aren't many companies that are able to innovate from within. And so the Pet Care Innovation Prize is an effort by Purina, and I think a great opportunity for you guys to learn from a large company who also wants to learn from you. It's hard to have all of these, big ideas become massive ideas like we're trying to build when you have already business lines you have to maintain, and I think other opportunities. So It's a great program. I think, just the atmosphere and environment that we're in holistically from a pet industry, there's going to be a lot that changes in the next 10 years. I don't know what the biggest pet care company is going to be in 10 years. It could be mine. It could still be Purina. It could be one of yours. And so I think that's
We hope it's one of yours.
But, I think that's the fun part of where we are right now. A lot's going to change. People that are in certain places today won't be there in 5 years. And my biggest example, and I've probably referenced it before if you've ever, spoken with me, but I worked in cable before Netflix was even shipping DVDs. And by the time I left cable, the landscape was entirely different. And so that's how rapidly, something can change, and especially when there's technology affecting it. And this intersection that we're at in the industry right now is really fascinating and a great opportunity for everybody.
So I'm just kind of curious, how many people here in the room are entrepreneurs or want to be an entrepreneur or are considering it in this space in the next year or two? Just want to get a sense of how many entrepreneurs. Great. So Shahrina, let's talk a little bit about, you and I were having a conversation before about it's hard for entrepreneurs to know what they need help with. They typically don't know when they need advice. They don't know when they need an ally. Can you just talk a little bit about, I know it's hard to say, here's a typical pet care entrepreneur, but when's the right time to really start taking seriously that you're starting an enterprise rather than just doing something fun?
Okay, sure. I'm going to stand because I feel like I'll fall over any second now. Okay, so the question that you asked, Dan, is very relevant. And by the time some entrepreneurs in the pet industry come to me, they have already spent money in marketing, have done some online sales, they may even have done some expos. So by that time, their brand is already out there. And then they tell me, okay, well, now I think I want to start protecting my brand. And it's kind of too late. Either one, because you have already started selling, which means you have exposed your brand to everybody else in the world, like you should, but there has to be protection in place before you do that, so you don't have anyone infringing on your rights. Or two, because you just decided to allocate your funds in the wrong places at the wrong times. So the best time to come to an attorney or someone of a professional background is when you're thinking about it, because you only know to ask for things that you know about. However, if someone is specializing in a certain area, they have seen your type of business before, and they can tell you the problems or issues that may show up that they have seen in the past. So. The best time is, now before you start anything.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, if you're going direct to Amazon, what would you recommend as far as trademark, copyright?
Thank you for that question. In fact, one of my clients currently is under attack from Amazon because she initiated her trademark application on her own about a year ago, and that didn't go through. So there are two types of trademark registration. One is supplemental and one is primary. She's been registered on the supplemental, which is not accepted by Amazon. So these are things you wouldn't know otherwise. So she spent all this time and all this money trying to do it on her own to save money. Now she can't use it at all. So, Amazon has its very strict policies that, you or someone just walking, into a business situation may not be aware of. So if you're trying to save money, that's probably not a good time to try to save it. In fact, you'll probably be saving more money after you speak to someone. Then you can, make a better decision for your business.
Yeah, I'd build on that from the perspective of an investor. Certainly at much later stage, if we're doing an acquisition or even when we're doing early stage investing, the more buttoned up your business is, the easier it is to raise money. And one of the first questions you're going to get asked is, do you have your trademarks? What's your IP? Have you and you want that stuff. That should be at the very front of a lot of the work you're doing. And, people sometimes think, oh, well, you don't want that because that way, if I'm going to invest in you, I want to know that you're buttoned up, that you're on top of the game, and that you've got this stuff already lined out. So this is all stuff that is going to help you raise money down the road, much more than it's something, it doesn't matter. It's a big deal. And it matters beyond just the legal aspects that we just talked about. So,
Thanks, Bill. I want to go to you, Jason, here. So, lots of people come up. We hear a lot of people like, I need to raise money. I've done this, friends, family, and fools. I've done this, I've bootstrapped it, and now I'm ready to raise really serious money, and I'm ready for $20 million, and I need to find an angel investor. Can you talk a little bit about for angel investors specifically? What are you looking for that's a company that's ready for money, that's not ready for money? And, what are the things, they talked a lot about IP and everything. Are you looking to see revenue? Talk a little bit about what an angel investor wants to see and what kind of money people can expect an angel investor to put in and what they want out of that. What's an exit look like for them? Because, the investors only invest if there's an exit, right? If there's a way for them to have some kind of event where they can make money. So can you just talk about that from an angel perspective?
Do I have a half an hour for you? A half hour?
Yeah, you have 30 seconds now.
The angel investing is big in the U.S. It's about $70 billion a year that gets invested. And so it's gotten fairly well organized. This really didn't exist when I entered the business world in the 80s. And so you've got a lot of angel groups that are here in New York and elsewhere that work collaboratively. About half the angel dollars in the U.S. Go through angel groups. And an angel group, it may be an individual angel writing a check, but the group looks at it collectively. You make one presentation, and there's one process that you would go through. The typical angel round is about $1 million on average. An angel group, the groups I'm in, our typical check size collectively is about $250,000 to $500,000 per group. Valuations, the median in New York is probably about a $5 million entity valuation. Nationally, I think it's $3.5 million entity value. And it's a pretty organized process. So you sort of start off with friends and family and hopefully not too many fools. And then when you sort of get to the organized angel circuit, as many people do, there's kind of a blur between some of the micro VCs that operate in this area, $2 million funds, $5 million funds. Some of the Series A VCs will get involved in seed, and they'll have a certain amount of money that's put aside to this. I think the hardest thing is to get a lead investor, is when you first start off doing this. If you say, I want to pull a number, I want to raise $1 million, to get a one investor essentially to, or one group to basically give you 10% or 20% of that amount and to negotiate the terms with that group, which will then be the basis for all the other investors to follow. I think that's something that if people haven't done this before, they often don't appreciate how significant that is getting a credible lead investor to kind of kick your round off. And then once you do that, often a lot of things fall into place right afterwards.
Shahrina, we didn't talk about this. You talked a lot about IP and everything, but I know you do a lot of other things as a lawyer advising these people. So what's this kind of round look like? Is this like, from Jason's point of view, when he sees, when they first get the offer to when they make a decision is one time horizon? What's that look like for the entrepreneur? How much time is this and how much effort is it? I'm assuming you work with people at this point.
I do, and it really varies. It depends on how eager each party is to close, and if they're willing to negotiate. Sometimes there's some negotiating power for both sides. Sometimes an investor will say, take it or leave it. At that point, you take it or leave it, and it becomes a business decision. But you need to move accordingly, with the pace. But that doesn't mean giving up what you want in the process. So be very careful of the things that, the documents that you're signing. Oftentimes you just look at something and sign it on the spot, and you just gave away your entire company. So don't do that. Have someone review it. And if an investor is really pushy about you closing the deal right away, that's probably a red flag. If you do not have the time to have that contract reviewed by someone that knows how to read a contract, I would say that's a red flag.
Great. Hey, could you pass the mic on down to Chris? Chris, can you talk a little bit about, you don't have to talk specifics, but you've seen a lot of different kinds of investors. You've talked to angels, you've talked to VCs, you've talked to, to strategics. Can you talk a little bit about the different kinds of investors and why a startup would want to not just find one check from one guy and be happy on your way?
Yeah, we actually did pitch the Harvard Business Angels. They are a great group. We raised capital from the New York Angels, and there are a lot of members that are in both and from another angel group. So there are different pools of capital. We also raise some institutional capital. Hello?
I think we might be hitting it off.
I can't tell. I think I got it again. Sorry. I think, you largely said it right when you said that investors aren't going to invest unless there is some sense of urgency, but you want to be careful pushing too much urgency, and that's on both sides. If somebody's pushing you to a term sheet or a document and you haven't had an opportunity to read it, it should raise some red flags. That goes both ways on the investor side too. If you're out of cash and you're pushing them, that's going to raise some red flags as to why you need that money and why would they give money to a failing company, right? I think the best idea is to do your homework. I had never raised capital or was an entrepreneur before we did this, and so not only did I read extensively about the process, but I also diligenced the investors largely. Is your check size right for my round? Are these businesses that you invest in traditionally? Your time is your biggest asset, and so when you narrow down your list of people who are actually going or will take a serious look at your business, you save yourself a lot of time, and ideally you start to create some urgency because somebody's going to want in on this deal, and if you have multiple people that you've all profiled correctly, you've done your homework, you pitched them well, somebody's going to offer you a check and other people aren't going to want to miss out on it. And so when you start to push everybody towards a closing point, you'll start to see some success and find a bite. There is a real importance in finding a lead that can't be understated. And so it's important to, again, do that homework, find out who leads rounds. If you're pitching somebody to lead your round and they don't lead any rounds, it's really unlikely they're going to make you their very first one, right? So it takes a lot of homework. I have a spreadsheet that's probably 1,000 people long, and then I have a second sheet on that just starts to whittle it down into a funnel of like who's really appropriate. But anybody who has a fund is like on that first sheet, right? And they're a target until you bring them further down. And do they do consumer? Do they do pet consumer? And so on and so forth. So.
I want to shift gears. We're going to wrap up here. We're trying to do this very short so that this conversation will be online so you can see it afterwards. Also, we're going to stick around so you can talk to us if you have questions. But I want to pass to Courtney here. And just, Courtney, one of the interesting statistics I've heard from as we got into the industry is if you go to Super Zoo, you might see as many as 700 to 1,000 different dog treat companies. So there's a lot of, it's an industry with a lot of opportunity, but there's a lot of need to differentiate. So what do you see as, what's the way that the best startups and best companies differentiate in this industry?
Right. We'll definitely come to Super Zoo. No. What I was going to respond to it, and it might pertain to the question, is again, we're talking about what you need to do to get in front of an investor. And there's so many steps, and I want to just reiterate all of those steps that need to take place before you get in front of an investor. But I go back to the retailer. If you're starting up something, this is a little out of the box, but you can also leverage 5, 10, 20 different retailers. If you have a product and you can convince them that you're actually going to produce it and deliver it, get their order, get their invoice, then go to your manufacturer, and then you don't have to raise money. So that is possible, and people are forgetting that the independent retailer are your friends right now, so don't forget about them. But as far as differentiating, it's the same thing. Even if you're at a trade show or if you're at a meeting, you have to have your values and your points about your product so clear and tell them exactly why. And again, don't ever give them anything to make you guess, like you're not gonna be able to deliver it, you haven't got your trademark. Make sure all of that is out of the way. I'm just reiterating it, exactly that. But there are a lot of different ways to get yourself off the ground.
Good. Really quick, the differentiation, is that for in the eyes of the consumer, for in the eyes of the retailer? How much?
Well, it's both, because don't forget, you are trying to convince a retailer that a consumer is going to come to their store and buy it. So why? Tell me why someone's going to walk in. I'm having a hard enough time getting consumers in my store as it is. So I'm trying to launch services. So how are you going to help me drive traffic? What are you doing to drive traffic into my retail store? We all know that's their number one pain point. And so address their pain points. So that's why I continue. You have to talk in environments like this. You have to talk to retailers and address their pain point, not yours. Don't worry about yours. Don't oversell your product. Address their pain points.
I'm going to ask Jason here to speak a little bit. You're the one investor or the one person up here that's got the least experience in the pet industry, direct. I know you've got we've established that you're a pet owner or a pet parent, but so your background is investing in location-based and kind of media and publishing kinds of things, content kinds of things, right? Can you talk a little bit about where, as you start looking at this, as you've looked at a few deals and things in the space, I don't know if you've done any investments or not, but where do you see that interesting juxtaposition, why location-based services and how does pet and, kind of this household spend that pet represents fit into that?
Sure. Well, my background is in part from special interest publishing. And so doctors, lawyers, anglers, golfers, and so forth. And so I've spent actually a fair amount of time looking at the pet market from a publishing standpoint. And when I look at a special interest market like this, I always appreciate just the expertise that people who really understand the segment bring and the power that an entrepreneur can add when they're really coupled to that, to starting things that are really brand new. And I have to say, it's pretty exciting to see this interesting group of startups today. When I think about location applied to the pet industry, I really mean things like on-demand services, things that couldn't be done before there was precise digital location. And the pet industry, like many, I think is really well suited for this. The biggest one is probably basically, dog walking. And the ability to use your phone and get someone to, and get someone that's vetted and to come and walk your dog and to build some social interaction across people to get some ratings. A partner and her applying Uber to, where did her partner go? And applying Uber to the pet market is also a pretty good example. I think areas like Find a Vet is probably less of an opportunity because that's covered pretty well in Yelp and other services. And I think social networks is for me another area where Tinder and all those apps couldn't have been done without geolocation. And I think there could be an interesting overlay on that, kind of social affinity groups for people around dogs. And so maybe there's some opportunity in that arena. But sort of fundamentally, owning a dog as a person or a cat as a personal kind of thing or a horse. And if you need services, if you want to meet other horse owners, if you want to find a mate for your pet, using your mobile device or a computer with precise location is a very good way to do that.
Thanks. I just want to give everybody a chance to maybe do one last kind of comment to say if you were going to offer a couple of sentences of maybe here's what you think is exciting about the industry and maybe what you would, not advice per se, but maybe just wise words that you might suggest to the people in the room to consider as they start their business. And we'll start with you again, Shahrina.
What's exciting to me when I go to expos is seeing all the brilliant products that are out there and also to kind of see all the products that are not so brilliant. So be careful about that. I mean, yes, it's your idea you think is the greatest thing on earth, but you need to do your research before you start spending money on it because there are a lot of poop bags out there. You're not innovating anything by putting another color on a poop bag, like really. I have seen it. And the next, I guess, word of caution I would say would be, or what word of advice would be, to allocate some funds for your legal work as well. You would not believe the amount of people I see who have, hundreds and thousands of dollars allocated to marketing, or they're raising funds just for marketing, getting the word out there. But even in Super Zoo, when I just went a couple months ago, now it's August, my goodness, in June, some people didn't even have their companies incorporated. And that is really, really bad. And they're just waiting for a good time to incorporate and to do their legal work, but you're already out there. You're putting yourself in danger, really, at the end of the day. So that's my advice.
I think what I find most exciting about this industry is just it's the emotional bond that people have with their pets. It's the passion. It's the fun. It's the joy that they bring to our lives, and that's really cool. I mean, this is a fun industry, and it's a pretty amazing place to work. I would say from an advice perspective, I would echo some of the things that have been said before, which is keep the consumer and the pet at the center of what you're doing. It's really easy to get caught up in, I'm going to make this app so cool. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna, and I think the comment about the retailer is really well said as well. Is that, for us, we have essentially 3 customers that we have to keep center of mind all the time. There's the pet, who obviously eats our food and treats and uses our litter. There's the owner, who generally buys it because we don't have a lot of dogs and cats with credit cards that drive. We're working on that. We have options. We're getting there. And finally, we ultimately sell to the retailer. And so all 3 of those folks are really important, that we keep all of them at the center of what we do and avoid doing what's best for us, because ultimately that's how you lose. You got to put them at the center of what you're doing. And if you keep that North Star, I think you'll be doing great. So.
I'm going to give a couple shout outs and offer my time for anybody who ever needs it. But, there's a lot of us in the room who I'm in your chair on a daily basis. And if funding is your problem now and you get funding, well, now marketing to hit your targets that you promised these investors is your problem tomorrow. And there's a lot of people in this room with a lot of different expertise, whether they're fellow entrepreneurs, investors, lawyers. And I think what's helped me is been able to lean on so many people. So the WeWork Labs team is awesome. Dimitri, who's a part of it, led the very first investment into my company years ago. So there are people throughout this entire room. The Pet Care Innovation Prize that Dan administers with Purina was also huge for our company. So, you never really know where people in this community are dispersed. They could now be working in a big company, but waiting to, look for another opportunity, and they could be your growth marketer. Regardless, make friends with everybody in the room, even if they're competitors. Lean on them as much as possible, and let's keep growing the community, because I think that's where you start to see, the major exits, the major funding rounds come through. It's because it's a community supporting each other in their endeavors and helping troubleshoot the next problem that you guys all have. So my email again is chris@barkleypets.com, and go ahead. I think so. Everybody seems like they were at seed, yeah. Is anybody raising more than $2 million? Okay, yeah, so everybody's pretty, but regardless. If you brought your checkbook, I do want and I'll take one too. But yes, so anyway, my email is chris@barkleypets.com. I actually have hosted a founders dinner with several people in the room. We're going to do drinks again soon. So if you guys just want to come and, talk about some problems and everything else, we're going to try to do it at least quarterly. So reach out and say hi.
I'll just focus on something that we haven't really touched on, but it's about delivering your product. So understanding that you can deliver your product and you can produce your product, and make sure you are, if you're manufacturing it, do your homework. It could take 3 to 4 different vendors before you figure out if they can actually deliver on time. And so it doesn't matter if your best friend's telling you that she's going to build you an amazing marketing plan. It doesn't matter if someone at your school, the parent is, John Travolta and he's going to launch it for you. It doesn't matter if you can't deliver your product. So just make sure you can stand in a room in front of an investor, in front of anybody, in front of a retailer, and tell them that why you can deliver your product.
So one of the things I've always found interesting about sort of special interest areas is just the passion that people have, and for the product and the area. And certainly when you deal with dogs and cats, there's nothing like that. And I certainly see that in a lot of the founders here today, and that comes through a lot. And that certainly makes it a lot more fun. I think the thing you have to be careful about, though, is balancing that passion with just doing some things that are good business practice, and not getting ahead, not getting ahead of your skis, if you will. And so 2 thoughts on that regard is one of my hot buttons is really understanding your competitive set. If for your product, for your service, What are people doing today? What behaviors are you trying to change? What are the entrenched companies that are like? And what are you really doing that is better, that will give you some advantage, that will build some kind of competitive moat? And a big turnoff for me, and I can see it very quickly when I talk to founders, is really unclear answers when it comes to that. When I ask about, who's out there and what are they doing, and it's amazing how often you find there's a company that's gotten $50 million in funding, that's got some real revenue, and it doesn't come up when you ask the founder about competition, or they just ignore kind of major entrenched competitors that are there kind of just waiting for a company. So the second thing, and this is important when you're doing, as many of you will be shortly, is your seed round, is you also need to think a lot about traction. So when I first studied early investing in business school, it was all about taking a business plan and going to venture capitalists. And that day is long gone. Now it's all about getting a small amount of money, getting things started, and then getting out and trying to raise a small VC round or an angel round. And traction is incredibly important then. Proof points. Proof that customers will use your product, proof that customers will pay for your product. It doesn't often matter how much revenue that you have, but the fact that you've made some sales and some people are paying is a very big difference from not having made any sales. People are really not excited about investing in ideas these days. A lot of investors, particularly angels, are really focusing on traction. And so getting proof points is very, very important.
I want to thank everybody. We're out of time here. We'll still be here for a few more minutes. The video of this will be on the Pet Care Innovation Prize website, petcareinnovationprize.com. There's also some other content out there about some economics of the industry and everything. Before you leave, I want to give 2 last shout outs. Number one, thank you so much to all the startups. Make sure you talk to them about what they're doing. Make sure you support their business. The ecosystem doesn't happen unless they have customers because of this traction thing that we were just hearing about. So make sure you're supporting them. The other thing is, you guys, many of you paid $5 to come tonight, and all of that money goes directly to Rock and Rawhide, which is a local charity here. Kylie, are you here? Can you just, there's Kylie in back. They provide all kinds of stuff to shelters and folks like that. They've provided over $2 million worth of goods. So we charged a small amount to make sure that everybody was honest and everybody would show up, but all of that money, none of it goes to cover our expenses. All of it is going directly to them. So thanks very much to them. Thank you very much to the WeWork people. Make sure you talk to the startups. Thank you all for being here. If you want to find out more about the Pet Care Innovation Prize, come see me and I'll give you a card and tell you all about it.